they're going to be able to hear you right this second. So
right,
things should start propagating. So
okay.
Patrick, to make it easier, once I get it up here on the Tech Buzz Facebook page, share it over to the Toy Shock one and go through it, so I don't have to sit here and bang through. Glenn, I'll let you do the other ones that are your groups. It just makes it easier since you guys are already a part of it, and people are already starting to come in. So,
Yep.
welcome
We'll
everybody. Share now publicly. Bazinga.
Doing fidgeting over there. You see him.
Wait, what?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Everybody's good.
Why won't that work? Share in a group. I don't want to do the watch together thing, but okay. What's so funny? What's so funny?
Nothing, man. We're stone cold serious over here.
It's all business on this end.
P-Dub crop dusted again.
You know, one of my guys at my job today. Oh my God, this guy at my job today was like napalming me all day today.
By the way, I have a question about that. So, like, obviously, I've been in Vegas. I've been super busy. I haven't been able to pay attention to everyone else's comments or content, I should say. What is this P-Dub's crop dusting thing that I keep seeing pop up on my stuff?
So the one night I was watching Ralph's recap, and he said him or Console Kit said it, or somebody in the chat. So I don't want to blame somebody specifically, but somebody said, and I don't remember if I read it in the chat and they said it. They said P-Dubs was crop dusting us at the what was it? I think
that was Ralph. Ralph said that, I think.
Did he say it?
I thought that was Ralph.
All right, so we'll blame Ralph.
All you can eat buffets.
So he was crop dusting. He said that you were. No, I'm saying he was saying you were doing it.
Steven, I can't get it up on these Facebook pages. You're just gonna have to do the hard work yourself.
Glen.
I know, I didn't. And you know, I feel bad because I came up with a funny joke. As you know,
he said that you were saying he was. All right, who's listening to the feed? No echo.
It was me. I'm turning it down.
He wants to blame. He wants to blame Glenn again for an echo. Which was my fault, by the way.
Listen, I totally take it for the team.
You were taking it pretty good yesterday. I'll say that.
The job I have now, I'm always taking it. So it's like second nature at this point.
Yeah. Although, can I be honest? Like, if I could crop dust anybody, wouldn't it have been funny if it was Retro Ralph? That would have been great. All right, hang on one second.
I still got to say that one time when he was doing that video recording and you did that like a toasty thing.
Yeah.
I swear to God, I think about that. I started cracking up. That was awesome.
That was funny.
I'm
God
actually.
Damn it, P-Dub. Toasty.
I'm actually thinking about keeping it as a permanent part of my intros. You know?
That it could be, or it could be your extra.
Oh, there. Ooh.
Hey,
like
what's
that.
up, Brandon Bag, Console Kits? See, Console Kits just said it was P-Dub. I saw him, so it was. You're busted now.
Wait. Hey, can you ask Justin if it's okay?
You can ask
him.
He can hear you.
Well, I can't see the chat. I don't have anything else.
Okay, the chat's on YouTube, but I'll relay it to you if he says anything back to you.
Yeah, ask him if it's okay if I can share the nicknames I gave him in Vegas with everybody. If he doesn't want me to, I won't.
We'll wait till he responds. He says I'm listening, so we'll wait for it to catch up.
I won't share him if he doesn't want me to. They're innocent. They're, FCC approved.
What he said if you want to sound stupid, sure.
So I've been calling him Console Kitty because I think it's adorable. So I like calling him Console Kitty. I think that's pretty funny. So Yeah, and there's another one, but I don't want to say it because it's actually it makes me sad when I say it, so I'm not going to say it.
I'm trying to think of all the things that you could have called him. Were you thinking of cats all day long? I mean, or like I.
I've heard that's a good movie.
Yeah.
Really? That's the only thing you console kit.
Console kitty. Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's. I was just teasing him because, as you guys know, on his show with Ralph, he kind of let everyone know last night, sadly, that we're going to see a little less of him because of his, his full-time job, right?
Sure.
So I was teasing him. I was teasing him, and it's a joke. I said, okay, so it's not console kits, it's console quits, and I was just trying to make him laugh, and I think he appreciated it. But it makes me sad because I don't want to see Justin go anywhere. He's a really good dude, and it's kind of sucks for the community that we'll see him a little less.
He's the guy that he keeps Ralph on course. He kind of does.
Oh yeah,
he does what I do. I keep you guys in line.
Yeah, it's gonna be the Wild West on. It's gonna be the Wild West on Ralph's show.
No, he'll probably still be on. Nostalgic K, how's it going? I see you guys. So, guys, what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of... Glenn, do not laugh. We're going to try to keep this to an hour, and then we're going to do a post show. He's already laughing. But we have... Cool Toy can't be with us tonight. He's actually getting on a plane right now. He may even be listening or watching right now as he's getting on the plane. But he did shoot some coverage for us that we're going to show you guys, as well as we're going to show you, if you didn't see last night's test of the CES announcement from ATGames, where we do the 4-player in the cloud. We got a clip of that, and that's why we've got Matt Scott with us, and he's going to kind of talk about the experience because he's all the way across the pond. And
sorry, I'm opening my Cheez-Its.
Yeah, I hear that.
Didn't look right though. Whatever you're doing, it just didn't look right on the camera. Just saying.
Matt, this is gonna be a long show.
Oh, it's all right.
It's gonna be a long 58 minutes. A very long.
All right. So, guys, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go and I did some testing. So even if we do go over that hour, I did some testing. We shouldn't get that audio issue that we had the last couple of weeks. It turned out that I needed a driver update on one of my SDI inputs. I won't bore you with the details, but I tested it for a couple hours
Windows.
and fixed it. Yeah, really. Thanks, Windows. As a Mac guy, thank you. So we're about ready to get this Friday night geek out party going here. So we're going to go dark, get the intro rolling, and we'll be right back with you guys. Hey guys, it's time for another edition of the Retro Buzz, episode number 7. This is our CES wrap-up type show, and we've got Palomino, Glen Plemento, joining us. I have to say that every time. Come on, you know that.
Hey, it's cool. It's cool. It's a long name. I've heard it all.
So we've got Glen with us, and obviously we're short another regular that we have on here, but we do have Matt Damon with us, and he is, no, it's not Cool Toy, but we got the next best thing. We got the P-Dub.
P-Dubs.
And
Hey, thanks, guys. I literally just got home from Vegas
I was just
about
gonna say that.
25 minutes ago. I've been dealing with all kinds of stuff. It's been a crazy day, but happy to be on the show and happy to help out while Doug is on a plane playing with his video games on the plane.
Well, we figured, am I right, Glenn? It was we had to have somebody on here that could talk about CES since we weren't there, and we were kind of counting on Doug for that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And also, I want to take 1 second to thank Doug's wife. Thank you very much for letting him go and helping him out at the show. She was a huge help and a trooper. So thank you very much. And absolutely, I mean, P-Dub was right down there in the trenches. He was working hard. I loved a lot of the videos he was showing out there. And until Cool Toy comes back, we have the next best thing here, Mr. P-Dub.
And
Oh, thanks, man.
And I think we found out while you're at CES that your nickname was actually, because you call it P-Dubs, it's Pinball Dubs.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what happens when I volunteered to help the Toy Shock company, with social media stuff, because they're a very small company, brand new, and things of that nature. So it's great to have someone in the booth doing videos and pictures and sending out tweets and Instagram, just lending them a hand. And it was a lot of fun. It was the first time I've ever been to CES, and I'll definitely never forget it. That's for sure.
There was a lot of coverage going on, and
Oh, yeah.
so we're gonna cut to something right now that Doug, even though he's not here, he actually put together a little CES clip that he wanted to share with everybody. And so we're going to take you to that right now, kind of give you a little overview of all the products. I'm sure you've seen the coverage. A lot of guys are out there doing it live and did a great job doing it live, bringing you guys the action, the pictures. Doug was one of them. And so we'll take you to that now. Well, once again, we want to thank Doug for that. That was a great introduction, I guess you would say, to for CES, for everything that they brought to the table. We added a fourth panelist during that. We have Matt Scott, all the way from Germany, and he's going to help us talk about the next part of this. And let's talk a little bit about this though, guys, with the Arcade 1-Up before we get into the ATGames. Arcade 1-Up brought the heat. Let's just be honest. They came, they delivered, they promised, they said, "Hey, we're going to deliver." And honestly, I think they did. Glenn, what's your takeaway, because everybody's seen everything that Arcade 1-Up brought to the table. We just saw it in the video, and people watching all week long. What's your biggest takeaway from the Arcade 1-Up?
Well, I'm going to be honest. I mean, again, it's hard to imagine. They've only really been doing this for a year. For some reason, Arcade 1-Up feels like it's been with us a lot longer than they have. But there's a couple of things I took away from it. One was product-wise, and one was personnel-wise. Product-wise, the machines they're coming out with, I am excited about, but I'm really more, honestly, excited about the Coleco purchase of the little Minicades, the old ColecoVision size machines. I'm really excited for that, and more so for those micro consoles, the Atari, the ColecoVision, and television with the little old TV set. That stuff I assume took a lot of people by surprise, and they're very neat. Now, of course, things like NBA Jam, which is, we've kind of known for a while that was probably going to be coming out, but the fact that they make that Wi-Fi enabled to allow you to play other people across the country or the world and leaderboards and stuff like that is kind of showing that Arcade 1-Up is definitely not sitting on their laurels. They are listening to all of us, and they're adding features. And even with the machines that bring it back. Now, people ask me all the time about, about my spinner. And I have told Arcade 1-Up, and I've told the community this many times, I have no problem with Arcade 1-Up, their spinner coming out with a new one. I'm actually glad they did. And their new, looks like a 6-in-1 or maybe the 12-in-1 coming out is going to have their new free spinning spinner. And that's all that matters, that they're taking their product and they're improving it. And I take my hat off to them for listening to us and doing such a thing. And the one thing I want to mention about personnel is both David, John, Scott always say the same thing. Listen, it's because of the fans, people in the community, that these things have been happening. They admitted that when the machine came out, it was kind of testing the waters. And I've said that before to all these companies. I mean, even with like Toy Shock, when they first come out, they're just testing the waters, seeing how it is. And Arcade 1-Up definitely saw, wait a second, we have something here. This is really just supposed to be a little pet project for Scott at the time. And he realized that, no, there is a huge market here. He came out with machines and listened to all of us. And I agree with something he said in the video. How many of these companies move this fast? Some people say they're not moving fast, but when you look at Microsoft or Sony or Nintendo or other companies, Arcade 1-Up and Scott have been listening to us. He's in the trenches all the time, and they are making changes. Any kind of change takes time to happen, but I'm telling you from the heart that I've not seen a company go so far, so fast with their product line. So that's probably the biggest thing I took away from all of CES was that.
Yeah. What do you think? We're going to jump to P-Dubs here. What do you think the biggest takeaway for you was with Arcade 1-Up at CES? Was it the pinball? Was it the Burger Time Special Limited Edition cab? What tickled your fancy?
Well, actually, and I don't know if anyone else. It's kind of funny. So, I think Steve and I talked to you on the phone, and I think I talked to Ralph and another guy on the phone on my nice, 5-hour drive home from Vegas. And I think I had the same conversation with all three content creators. I'm like, what were you most excited about? And I told all of you guys the same thing. And it's going to sound so cheesy, but it's because it's sentimental. It's that is those little Coleco recreations that they're coming out with. Because my parents had those when we were a kid. And we had the Pac-Man and we had
parents?
Yeah. We had the Pac-Man, we had the Donkey Kong, and I never thought I would see those again. I've seen them on eBay for a couple $100, but I've never wanted to buy them. But to be able to get those from Arcade 1-Up, I think that's what this business or this industry is all about, is all of us recapturing those things that were important to us when we were younger. And that definitely captured a piece of my heart when I walked through their booth and I saw those. So, and of course, they got some pretty cool arcade cabinets coming out too.
Glenn, we got a super chat here on YouTube, and it says, Glenn, did any of you, are you making spinners with Arcade 1-Up on the new Asteroids cabinet?
Well, the Arcade 1-Up was showing that they actually have created a new spinner. It's a free floating ball bearing spinner using an optical encoder, and it's pretty good. I mean, it's like the ATGames. It's an optical encoder. It's not a magnetic type of encoder. But to be quite honest, that might be enough for everyone. I mean, it's weighted, it's free spinning, and it's a definite improvement over their first gen clicky spinner. And again, I am excited for them, and I hope that they do well with it. My spinner is designed for outside arcade one-up as well, so I'm not concerned about it at all. But I'm extremely happy that I was able to help them during the interim, and now that they have those installed in the machines, which we all agree that's probably what they should have had to begin with. I'm just again glad that they did take the time to create something new. It's pretty decent. People seem to like it who purchased it, and they're now going to incorporate that in their machines. So hopefully, by the end of this year, they'll come out with a Pong and a Warlords.
Nice, nice. Matt, what was your takeaway? I mean, I know you've been you joined the show here today just to we're going to talk about the 3-player ATGames scenario that we did the other day, but I know you were excited a lot about some of the stuff that Arcade 1-Up brought to the map. What was on your table?
Yeah, I'd probably say the virtual pinball was that was probably my favorite that came out, just because seeing Toy Shark just came out with that. Toy Shark, sorry, they came out with that, and at Arcade 1-Up, they heard what people wanted and they came out with their own, and it looks pretty decent. And I think their Arcade 1-Up is pulling from these different companies and taking different things. Like with the NBA Jam, you got the Wi-Fi enabled, capabilities playing online. ATGames had that. Most of it's in beta right now, but still, they're taking these different things, different aspects of the different companies out there, and trying to incorporate them into their product. And I think that's great. More competition, that just means better products for the rest of us.
No, I think that's a good,
right.
good
That's
point
it.
to bring up.
That's exactly it. I mean, we've all talked about this before, and I've probably talked over the moon and back about it, is that, the more people in the industry, it's a double-edged sword. On the plus side is every other company is able to see what they're doing and come out with their own product and improve, better price point, better quality, better experiences. The one thing I do worry about is, and I've said this on, I think, the last podcast as well, or the show, is I do have a little fear at the bottom of my gut about oversaturation, because I grew up in the 80s, and we had the crash of 83, and I see a lot of great products coming out that people already know me. I'm going to buy them all because I'm insane.
No. Stop right there. You're not just going to buy one. You're going to buy like 3 or 4 and bag them all up and stick them on your shelf.
Well, I have to be honest. You have to buy one to keep fresh in the box. You have to get one to take out of the box and display, and then you got to have one you buy to play. Then you have to buy one to put a mod in. So
yes,
exactly. So I do buy a couple.
I wasn't lying,
but I do worry that they're like right now. Like I say, Arcade 1-Up has their Street Fighter cabinet, which is the 3/4 Street Fighter cabinet. Then you have New Wave Toys Replicade with Street Fighter cabinet, and now you got Basic Fun. I'm sorry, MyArcade coming out with a Street Fighter cabinet. So those things I do get a little worried about, because each one's going to have the pluses and minuses, but you're oversaturating the market with the same type of title. So I'm a little leery. Don't mark me down as saying it's going to happen, but I do have a concern of too many of the IPs being the same between different manufacturers.
And I think the same thing goes true. We get in these shows here, and I want to kind of put this out there. We get in these shows, and everybody's like, we're doing this all with a bunch of different content creators, right? There's no secret. There's Ralph and Console Kits are doing a show. We're doing a show. And the reason we're doing this is because we want you guys to have the most accurate information that's out there. And we like to talk about this stuff. Let's just be honest. I mean, this for me is an outlet. So when we see
these are the only people who listen to us about this stuff.
Yeah, our wives. I mean, I'm sure Ralph and them, they'll tell you. They send me to the basement. She sends me down here and she says, "Okay, go geek out with your friends." But in all reality, all these companies coming out with these great products. I mean, PW, you kind of hit the nail on the head with your one video where you said it was the stream, or what was it, the Arcade Wars. Because honestly, these guys they're going to be trying to bring the best features that they can out, and it's our job to stay as unbiased as we can to talk about the pros and the cons. And honestly, at this point, until we get our hands on the Arcade 1-Up pinball machine and some of these other ones, we're just speculating at this point. But somebody asked me in the chat and said, "Did I pre-order the Burger Time?" I have not yet, because Burger Time, I wanted it. and I've just kind of been seeing where I want it. But I also want the Star Wars. I want the new Star Wars with the seat. So
I got to say that was beautiful. I mean, that's real nice, and I could see already people modding that, to have the total enclosure. But even without it, I mean, that's how I first played Star Wars myself. The first time I played it was a sit-down cabinet, and that just looked great. I take my hat off to them for that. It's a simple thing, but
yes,
it adds so much to it.
Any Star Wars fan is going to want this in their arcade or in their Star Wars. Even if you're not buying all these arcades, you just want one, right? That you could just display. It looks like you're in the X-wing cockpit. But
you know what? We're going to talk about that too. I know the NBA Jam has that.
yes,
But even like Star Wars and the older machines, if they were to re-release them with the Wi-Fi in there, so they have leaderboards. I mean, that would be a huge thing as well, because you can get your high score and some guy in, I don't know, Ohio or Arizona or in Germany beat your score. That makes you want to go back and and get your score back on there. So that's a huge community thing. Again, it's only with the NBA Jam now, but I do hope maybe in the future, as they re-release maybe older titles, they'll have that ability and a leaderboard in there, because it's back in the day, and these are the kind of machines that you did that, you wanted your name up on that list, and you wanted people to see it. So to have something like that now worldwide, I think would be a huge fun thing for people to want to, constantly go out, get these machines and play them.
I'm just really shocked, Glenn, and I'm sure the rest of the guys here are shocked that you didn't say the Minicades were going to be like your favorite, because they had the old CRT TVs and the old ColecoVision, and I'm just saying.
Well, I am not gonna lie. I did have my my little love fest with them. I mean, they're beautiful. I mean, they are. I like P-Dub said, when I saw the Coleco ones out there, I'm happy for a couple reasons. One, when people have been modding them at this point, myself included, usually you have to find one of those old ones, and they're not rare, but they're very expensive, as P-Dub said as well. They go for anywhere from $60 to $150 with a box for these. And they're you really shouldn't have to touch them. But if I get them broken, could I fix it? Maybe, but I could also make it something else. So with these new ones, it's also a new supply of cases, to be honest, for making machines. So again, I'll have to buy ones to keep, ones in the box, and ones to mod. But honestly, what really got my attention was the small Atari, ColecoVision, and Intellivision, and it caught a lot of people's eye, including mine, that ColecoVision one was being shown with Donkey Kong. Now, Donkey Kong was the pack-in game with ColecoVision, but when it was released in other avenues, most notably recently would have been the ATGames ColecoVision unit, Donkey Kong was not on there due to licensing. So I don't know if that was simply shown because it was at the show and it had to be removed later on, or if they actually got that license. But if Arcade One, if it actually got the license to have that Donkey Kong packing game with that ColecoVision, that is going to sell just for that alone, and I'm going to buy it and put it up on a pedestal as my most pristine thing to have, because that's a time when Nintendo, they were in the arcades, they didn't have any home consoles. This is 82, and Nintendo and ColecoVision were actually helping each other out back then, and to have Donkey Kong's home port, which was, to be quite honest, the best home port of its day by far, that'd be amazing.
So I'm glad you're.
Yes, I'm very excited over it.
I'm glad you're on the show, because in '82 I was 3 years old, so I don't remember any of that.
You're killing
I wasn't even born yet.
Yes. So we're Glenn's the old man of the group.
So I'm basically Yoda. I'm Yoda here.
So I remember those Coleco-like games. I remember them when I was in kindergarten or first grade. We had it at break time. We could play it. We had that. I think P-Dub, you and I were talking about this. They had that in Pac-Man. And I remember that's when I first had Frogger, and I was like, this is awesome. So I don't know if it's something that I would get to play. I might get it to stick on a shelf behind me here to kind of display in the studio. Nonetheless, it's pretty cool, especially the price points, right?
Yep. And actually, I hope there's almost like a cycle of games. So if you do put it up on your shelf it'll just cycle through the games after a few minutes just to see it. I think that would be, again, a beautiful thing to have on a shelf if it could show some of the gameplay on the games installed on it.
I think myself, the Sega cabinet really stood out. I thought the Sega one. I mean, I'm big on Burger Time, and I'm probably going to catch a lot of hate for this, but I am not a fan of NBA Jam. I'm just not. In fact, I would probably pick up the Sega cabinet before I would do NBA Jam. Just being honest.
Yep, and I'm with you too. And actually, there was some comments out there. People were saying that why they chose, like Golden Axe stuff like that.
Oh,
But then they
those are
started watching the
classics.
videos. But they started watching video of the gameplay. Then they saw, the static picture. When they saw the gameplay, they're like, "Whoa, you know what? I think I actually like that game." So it was even pulling people into who had no, need or want for it before. But the most important thing about that Sega cabinet is that they now have a partnership with Sega. So hopefully down the road, we'll start seeing much more from Sega with Arcade 1-Up.
It'll be interesting. What let's go down the line really quick before we get into the ATGames CES announcement. Right now, what's the #1 cabinet that everybody's gonna purchase or get, whether it's pre-order or, Glenn, we'll start with you. What's the next cabinet of all the new ones that's gonna be on your hit list?
Well, I'm going to be honest. Although the artwork, and the music's not identical, Frogger probably. I mean, that's one of my fun games. I always liked Frogger, and I want to tell everyone out there because I heard a lot of people make these comments about, the music wasn't right, the artwork wasn't right. Again, that's not up to Arcade 1-Up. If you look at the other new releases of Frogger, most notably, you can go looking at like Basic Fun. It's the artwork you get from the manufacturer. That's what they say. This is the license. This is what you're allowed to use. I don't know what the issue is with the artwork, but that is the artwork they're putting out, and it doesn't look bad at all. It actually does look kind of nice. But remember, artwork can very easily be changed. The cabinet itself's got some good games on there, and that would be the #1 for me on the list.
Dubs, what's #1 on your hit? I think I already know the answer to this, but go ahead.
Well, no, I mean, I think I said it. I think I was live on the fan page on Facebook when I was walking around their booth, and I saw that the Sega cabinet, and I said that would be a day one
Really?
purchase for me. Yeah, because
I thought Jam would have been.
Yeah. I mean, no. I mean, I've always been, back in the day, you had your Nintendo and your Sega. Like I was always on the Sega side. Like,
Yes.
so the Sega cabinet is a day one for me. And then obviously I want to get all the little, the mini stuff because I honestly don't have any of those, any mini anything. And now that I'm running out of room, I think that's a good way to go. I have room for those, but not 20 other cabinets. Oh wait, no, one more thing. They had an Asteroids Deluxe like cabinet that's got like light up buttons and more games on it and the better spinner.
Right, that's the 6-in-1.
6-in-1.
Yeah. And out of all the Arcade 1-Up cabinets that have been released so far, that's the only one that I never purchased, the Asteroids cabinet. So that might be the first Asteroids cabinet I have. So yeah, that's like top 3.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Matt,
Yeah.
what's your hit list? What's #1?
I'm with P-Dub. #1, I'm with P-Dubs. I like the Sega cab. I think most people are going to want the NBA Jam. It's a 4-player cab. You got the Wi-Fi built in. I think that's going to appeal to a lot of people, but Sega's #1 on my list. And then, I mean, outside of the cabs, I really want their pinball. So
yeah,
it looks good.
Yeah.
So I want it.
Well, I think that's a given. I think everybody here wants the pinball. I mean, it's a given. I mean, and to be fair, we know that there's Toy Shock. We're gonna get to that. But having the different tables, the different selections, we got choices now, fellas. We got choices.
Right.
This is good. Right. This is a good thing.
And the different price points.
Different price points.
I mean, looking at the when John and Retro Ralph was out there and Doug was out there and P-Dub was out there seeing these pinball machines. I mean, obviously we haven't actually got our hands on the Arcade 1-Up one yet, but I definitely trust Retro Ralph and Doug and P-Dub more or less. I trust P-Dub. But the Arcade 1-Up cabinet really does look nice. It's got a lot of features in it, and one of the key things about it was, and it hasn't been really brought up too much, that when John says it's going to be easier to open up and lift the machine, and get to the inside, and that's a key thing because again, Arcade 1-Up, I've had a lot of talks with them in the past, and some companies don't like you modding stuff. Microsoft or Sony, they don't want you touching this. Nintendo sure as heck doesn't want you modding this stuff. But Arcade 1-Up actually kind of welcomes that. They want people to make it their own, and whether with that pinball machine it's just for repairs or it's actually maybe they'll sell improvements, new features you can install yourself. I think that's a huge, again, possibility in future-proofing the machine. just aside from the fact that it's a gorgeous looking pinball machine.
Well, I mean, what about even just making repairs? I mean, let's face it, nothing's going to last forever. So even if it's 2 years and then you got to replace something inside there, a wire gets
Solenoid
shorted,
or something
yeah,
like that.
something.
Right.
Having that ability is ideal. I mean, it's easier than taking screws out. I get that, but I mean, just that factor alone, kind of thinking about that, it helps the consumer. They don't mind paying a little extra for that. But then you also have the other
Right.
side that maybe can't do that. They can't get they can't get that, and they still want a decent table, and they've got the Toy Shock. So, you know,
And again, Toy Shock's doing their thing too. I mean, they came out with their first 2 machines, tested the waters, and obviously PW was out there, and they have the new machines out there where they improved the plunger, or you know, the plunger, right? That's what it's called.
yeah, the
And
plunger.
they have a new screen, a 10-inch screen in the back. So again, they're listening to the community just as well. I don't know if the price is going to stay the same. My guess is it may go up a little bit. It makes sense if it does. But again, they're taking feedback, and rather than just ignoring it and just coming up with the same stuff, they're listening and improving.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, go ahead, Peter.
Yeah. I mean, what I like to see from, you know, the outsider point of view is that, you know, let's look at this logically, is that Toy Shock launches a product that's only what, 6 weeks old, and they immediately got feedback, whether it was the gameplay, the appearance of the machine, the plunger mechanism, the sound system, and you know, usually I don't see very many companies within 6 weeks say, "Okay, let's make it better for you." And they've made some improvements on the machines that you guys saw at CES, with more improvements to come because they are listening to the community and listening to them quickly, which I found, you know, very, very impressive. You know, being there. I can tell you, I did like the new plunger, as well as the black bezel. Although I think if they want to keep the bezel the same size it is, I think a mixture of black and silver would look the best, not just
I
one
agree with
flat.
you, P-Dub.
Yep.
one
I
flat.
agree with you totally.
However, they do have, you know, with the wide body cabinet, they do have room in there with the way the cabinet's designed. Where, I mean, obviously it's going to jump the price, but maybe you could get a bigger screen in there with a 1-inch bezel, maybe go from a 24 to a 27, and that would look nice in that particular cabinet shape as well. But they've been taking a lot of feedback, and not only them, but also the guys at Farsight Studios with the Pinball Arcade software that are in there, and they are looking at, you know, the flipper delay, any kind of gameplay lag, and they believe that, you know, we're going to have some solutions announced shortly. And I don't think that the next generation or the next batch will have those issues. So we'll have to stay tuned for more and
Well,
see what they tell us.
let me ask you guys something, because we were talking about room here in our own arcades. You know, I've got 10 machines plus the Legends 11 plus the Pinballs 12. I'm running out of
Yeah.
room. And you know, a lot of people were asking, I saw, are you going to come out Arcade 1-Up? Are you going to come out with a full size? Toy Shock, are you going to come out with full size? Now, PW, you said just now, if they shrink the bezel, maybe they could put a 27-inch in there. You know, do we
Yeah,
really need a 27-inch screen in there?
I don't know.
I mean, 24 just seems, it seems good for what it is.
Well, I mean, if they can keep it the same size and fit a bigger screen in, then great, because that bezel's huge.
Oh no, yeah, no, and
Not in a
I'm
good way.
probably the only one on this panel that doesn't mind the bezel because of my kids. I really don't mind the bezel, but
Well,
I'm
the
one.
bezel I sent with the kids, it's not a big deal. But when you look at the like, if you look at the Arcade 1-Up, everything seems proportional, and just that bezel
Yes.
on the Toy Shock just doesn't seem proportional. But I agree, you could put your beer there, you could put a drink there, which is great. But if you want to show it off as a centerpiece of a game room, which most of us probably will do, it just doesn't seem proportional.
That's what I'm going to do with the giant joysticks from Arcade 1-Up. I know Ralph got a little friendly with one, as so I heard at CES, but I want to get one as a decoration. Or Glenn, you had mentioned about using it for, like, because I have a lot of people over a lot of times and do parties or whatnot. It would be a good party type game to have a giant joystick that everybody can play and kind of immerse themselves in the game. So, you know, they got to look nice in the arcades too, right? The pinballs, the arcades. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
And again, it was just a good idea. I mean, someone just kept. I mean, Scott had to approve it. But so why do we have a really big joystick? You could kind of stand there and play it. And most companies be like, "What are you, insane?" But it's really not a bad idea, especially if you have, we have these big screen TVs now. You put that down in the floor, and your kids stand on that one little spot and play the game. It's just a nice thinking outside the box. And I take my hat off again to Arcade One Up for doing that.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's one of those things where, you have this Arcade One Up put it out there. They got it all out there. Yeah, Toy Shock was first, but they didn't hit the market right with it. They marketed it as a toy. That's what they did. Let's just call a spade, right? They marketed it as a toy. Us grown-ups, we gravitated toward it. Meanwhile, Arcade One Up's in the background going, we already know that these guys want pinball. They've been asking for since we came out with this. So now they took everything and they heard it and they put it out there. So now everybody else is going to play catch up to kind of get to that same level, or at least try to get to the same level, right?
I don't know if I agree with they marketed it wrong. They always marketed it for little kids. I mean, the video shows little kids and old geezers like me. It was never targeted for for adults.
No,
So,
okay. So
I don't
we
think they marketed it wrong.
misconstrued it. We misconstrued the marketing on it. Okay.
What they may have simply not had in their thought process at the time was how much adults like us wanted it. So if anything, maybe they could have come out with one of their pinball machines for the kids, and an enhanced version. But they're kind of doing it now. But I disagree. I don't think it was mismarketed. I think we're simply going, we want pinball so bad that we're going to take that one and mod it. Like Retro Ralph already spent a fortune, doing it up.
But see, I don't want to do that.
Again, listen,
I don't want to do that on a $400 cabinet. I don't want to put $1,000 total into it, or $1,200. I'd rather just save my money and go buy the Arcade One Up.
I've seen people buy $80,000 Teslas and they start modding it right away.
I'm not putting anybody down for
everybody.
it. I'm not putting anybody down for it. I personally don't want to mess with it.
Yeah,
I just don't.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. Sorry to interrupt you, Steven. But like for instance, like I got a YouTube video. It's done. I just haven't even posted it yet. Like I took a look at the Toy Shock machine. It's a $400 digital pinball machine. Yeah, I could have dropped a few $100s into it to make it this, kind of like something like what you saw Retro Ralph do or Detroit Love do. But I looked at it and I'm like, with the way these pinball machines come, you really want to just get them out of the box and really just enjoy them as they come, that they have the right features, the right games, the right gameplay. And honestly, I'm not looking at, I know some folks really love building virtual pinball machines and stuff. That's not really me. So like, for instance, my video is just showing people how you can add micro switches, leaf switches, how you can change the buttons out, how you can change the bezel, and things of that nature, aesthetic stuff. In my personal opinion, if I was to mod that Toy Shock pinball machine, I would just mod the aesthetic stuff, put better speakers in it and things like that. But I don't think you need to drop, $600 into that thing and have it play 2,000 games. But to each his own, right? Well, it's your machine.
Matt, what do you think? With Toy Shock right now, Toy Shock and Arcade One Up, they're going to feverishly. It's just common sense. They're going to feverishly try to. Their next revision is going to compete heavily. It's a no-brainer. It's going to compete heavily with the Arcade One Up. Nobody wants. I shouldn't say nobody wants to mod. I don't want to mod. I don't want to do that. I don't have the time to do that. Now, to P-Dub's point about nobody wants to put 2,000 games on a machine, I'm running out of room. So that kind of is appealing. What's your take, especially somebody that's over serving us over in Germany? You don't have a lot of room.
Yeah, I definitely prefer modding. I love to mod. Arcades are a little bit easier though. Pinballs, virtual pinballs, it makes me a little nervous, and there's a little bit more stuff that goes into it. So I could put a PC in it and do all that stuff, but like P-Dubs was saying, if it's aesthetic stuff, sure, yeah, I'm okay with that. But when you start getting into the guts of it, maybe replacing the monitor, that might be one thing. But for the most part, I don't want to drop a bunch of money into it and then worry that I might mess it up.
Yep.
And then I think, especially with the technology we got today, and I know Arcade One Up came out with their virtual pinball and it's Wi-Fi enabled, but it's only for updates for now. but that could be opened up to add more tables to it. And if I can do that without having to mod that, I'd prefer to do that. Again, arcade's one thing. You could throw a pie in something great. And I know you can throw a PC in a
Right.
virtual pinball, but it just makes me a little bit more nervous. And, especially with haptic response and all that good stuff, I don't want to get involved in that.
No, I agree.
Yeah, that's the point I was trying to make, and Matt said it better than I did. Is I have no problem taking an arcade one-up machine, gutting it, spending maybe what $250 and have it play 10, 20,000 games.
Yeah.
But when it comes to a pinball machine, it's not that easy. It's definitely more expensive, especially if you want to do it right, and more time consuming. So honestly, these three-quarter scale pinball machines, whether it's Toy Shock, Arcade One Up, or if a new company drops one on us, I'm probably just going to take them as they are and maybe just mod the aesthetics. Is just the point I'm making. But that's just me personally. If someone out there wants to do that big of a project, it's your life.
No, and I think right now with these mini 3/4 cabs pinballs, I mean it's fair to say that Arcade One Up is really being the trailblazers right now. I mean, if we're going to be fair across the board, I think Glenn, you alluded to that earlier. They're blazing it. I mean, they lit CES up, and I can't imagine what E3 is going to be like. It's going to be interesting. But one of the things we do want to show, guys, we want to switch gears a little bit here, and we want to talk about the Legends Ultimate. So a lot of you guys had asked, you're like, hey, ATGames, what's your CES announcement? Well, they were kind enough to give us the announcement a little bit earlier, and we got the ability to play My Game Room. If you didn't see the video that I did with going on to a virtual PC where you're able to have your own PC in the cloud, install whatever games that you want from Steam you purchase, and you can install it on a virtual PC, so you don't have to go out and buy a $2,000-$3,000 PC. Go check that video out. But Glenn, myself, and Matt the other night, last night, we sat down with My Game Room because one of the features is being able to play up to four players, four separate cabinets from anywhere in the world. And we want you guys to watch this, and we're going to kind of talk over it as this is going on here, because we want you guys to kind of see here, like Glenn's in New York, and I'm here in Eastern Ohio, and Matt, you're over in Germany. And we played 3 players on this. And I mean, we'll let you go, Matt, and talk about your experience since you're all the way across the pond. I mean, be brutally honest. I mean, what was your take on this?
I think overall it was a pretty decent experience. We hit some rough patches trying to get us, all able to play, configuring the joysticks and all that stuff. And I know we've talked offline about some of the improvements that we'd like to see, but I think overall it was pretty decent. I mean, there was very little latency on my end from Germany, and I do not have the best Wi-Fi, and I was not hardwired in like I know Glenn was. And but yeah, I didn't notice really hardly any lag. It played pretty well for me.
Glenn, what about you?
Yeah, again, you have to be on, at least in my case, on a Cat 5 connection. Wi-Fi, when we first started out, it was so bad. Both Steven and I thought there was something wrong with the server because the latency and the gameplay was so bad. But since I had the slowest connection at that time with the Wi-Fi, it brought everyone else down. Once it went to the hard line, it was fine. And I thought that, there was a very little latency, not to the point where, again, the game would be, you're not like playing like a Mario game where everything's very precise. This is more of a button mashing type of a game.
Mm-hmm.
And it was fine. It was fun. And it was amazing me that I'm playing you in Ohio, which is one thing, but Matt's all the way in Germany. And we had a good game going on.
Well, and the thing with it was, not only did we have a good game going on, but we actually played it for, I don't know, we played it for a good half hour, 45 minutes. I mean, the recording was darn near almost an hour that we did. And it was surprising to me. I mean, for an alpha build. Now, that's the other thing we want to state. This is alpha. Right. Don't expect this to come down the pipe in an update. We were fortunate enough to get our hands on it a little early and play with it. But for an alpha build, I think it worked pretty well. I mean, it's only
right
as Matt alluded to.
Like Matt said, yeah, like I said a second ago, probably the only issue we had was just the initial setup.
Yes,
you gotta keep one hand up, wiggle this 2 times, go like that 3 times, and then
Dan,
go break. And if you
Dan,
do it just right, it worked. But if you didn't do it just like that, we did have some problems. Once it was working, once we got it working, it was solid. It played great. But they do have to work on, and they did say they saw, they watched the show and they said they saw that and they're working on it. But again, it is an alpha. And once they get that part licked, where it's not all these special moves, do it 1 second, it was almost like Dragon's Lair. You have to do it exactly at the right time. But once you got it, it was fine. It played very well.
and right now, I know the other announcement was they were going to be putting together a list, Glenn. You know about that list where people can be notified when a cabinet is available for pre-purchase. The shipping is going to kill you, though, man. It's like $160. So I don't know if that's a solution. I would keep checking your local Sam's and go pick it up personally.
Right.
And that was one of the issues we
I
did.
agree. I agree. I mean, I know when you want something really bad, it's hard to wait, but to spend that kind of money on shipping when it will be available at a Walmart or a Sam's Club eventually, I personally also would wait. I think that's a large chunk of change they could put towards some other items, like some arcade one-up little mini-cades.
Yeah, that's true. $160. But that was their big CES announcement that they had, and there's going to be more coming. I just thought it was funny that people were expecting them to bring out another cabinet or some kind of piece of hardware, and we're all sitting there going, yeah, that's not going to happen. That would be like, okay, Arcade One Up or Toy Shock saying, okay, CES, here, we just gave you guys a bunch of new machines, and then next month you go, okay, where's some newer machines? It's one of those things, like, they just can't do that. You just can't. Now, I'm sure there's going to be some other announcements coming to E3 from a lot of these different companies, but you got to figure everybody's just getting their hands on these machines, Glenn, literally a month ago,
Right.
in some cases.
Right. And they did sell out fast, and I think it even maybe took them a little bit by surprise and how well it sold. But again, we realized when ATGames was bringing this machine out, at the time, a lot of people weren't on the ATGames bandwagon from just other items they weren't very happy with. So I'm sure they were a little cautious about it, but the machine is actually really solid and good, and it took everyone by surprise. And it's just funny how people 2 or 3 months ago would have said, this company stinks, it's the worst ever, and all of a sudden they switch gears. And we've heard this before. I mean, people said the same thing with Arcade One Up when it first came out. It's a toy, it's junk, blah, blah, blah. And now people are, I don't want to say killing themselves over it, but for some of these cabinets, man, people are freaking out to get them. So you got to realize companies eventually realize, hopefully Disney will realize it with Star Wars.
Yeah.
But I digress. These companies listen to people in the community, and they realize where the people are going to spend the cash. And $300, $400, $500 for a lot of people is not an easy thing to separate, out of their pockets. But if it's something really good, they'll get it, and they've learned that, and that's why we get what we're getting now.
Can I ask you guys a question about the because I was at the show, I wasn't able to play with this with the MGR stuff yet. I did catch maybe the first 10 minutes of your live stream, and
we're sorry. We're sorry for that.
Well, yeah. Well, that's kind of my question is that thing like ready to go? I'll be in full disclosure, I haven't even looked at it yet. Is it ready to go? How hard is it to connect?
Well,
what can you tell me and everyone else about that?
To make this easy to sum it up between the three of us, as long as you don't have a Glen trying to connect, I think you're good, because Glen doesn't follow instructions.
I'm from the generation of who needs instructions. It should just work.
Glenn, you had it. It was fine. Don't worry about it.
We're picking on it. We're just giving Glenn a hard
20 minutes out of our life. No big deal.
But it was good because it brought up a bunch of different things that we could tell them to work on, because it is, all fairness, it is kind of clunky getting into it, and that's why it's in alpha. But it's exciting technology, because as we're seeing, like, Arcade One Up's going that direction. Everybody's going that direction for Wi-Fi. We used to only be able to do this on our consoles. Now we're doing it with arcade cabinets. That's unreal that, we all have different cabinets. We can play each other. You know,
great.
Right, because I'm gonna be honest. We played Turtles yesterday. My son's more into Minecraft and Fortnite, which I'm fine with. I play with them too. But these older games, all my friends don't live around me anyway, and I don't have the newer consoles. My newest console would be the 360, which I bought like just Halo for, and it's sitting over there on the wall. So to play these games with someone other than the computer AI or just myself, I had a blast yesterday. I mean, we were talking. Like I said, we had Skype going on. We were having a great time, and that is part of the arcade experience. You have to have people around you, enjoying it with you. And Wi-Fi has gotten, cheap. People have wireless in the house now, and the technology has gotten so inexpensive where these companies can throw it in. And I'm really happy that they are.
Well, I do want to say this as being the video guy, the tech guy here. I don't recommend anybody doing Wi-Fi if you can. If you can hardwire, do hardwire, because as Glenn found out yesterday, Wi-Fi, if his son's on the internet, it's not that Wi-Fi is bad, it's just unpredictable when you've got other devices around. Hardwire is something that needs to be an option, and that's something that makes me a little bit nervous when I heard from Arcade One Up, and I want to talk to John. He's going to be on next week. I want to talk to him about. I heard from somebody else interviewing him that there's not going to be an Ethernet cable in the NBA Jam cabinet, and I wonder if that's going to pose some problems with connections if you have a heavy duty network. It's not so much that the cabinet's going to cause the problem. You got to think about it. We're in the age of smart devices. I've got smart lights, smart switches. I've got Google in every room that tells my house what to do. My network has hundreds of devices on it. How is that going to fare with something like that? That's all I'm saying.
Right, and that was my full disclosure. I mean, I have, probably 20 cameras around the house. I got like 10 Alexas around the house. I got 5 Google Homes around the house. I got Wemos in the house. I have power switches. So my Wi-Fi, in all fairness, I probably, like I said, I probably have a good 100, 125 devices on my Wi-Fi, plus my son's streaming, plus my mother's streaming, plus my brother's streaming, and me trying to do the stream and play the game. So full disclosure, for most people, they probably have just a couple computers and it'll probably be just fine. But always hardline is going to give you a better experience. But don't take my house's craziness for everyone's experience.
So to be fair, let's also talk about there was an announcement from Stern. Now, I know Stern's kind of out of everybody's price point. I get it. They brought a Stranger Things cabinet to the market. And I think it's interesting that pinball's making this huge comeback, right? It's just blowing things up. Now, it is priced out of my price range, but again, I don't want to go into rumors and speculation, but what if Stern all of a sudden decided that, hey, we're going to make a 3/4 inch cab and it's going to be a real pinball machine? Even though maybe they're working with other VPN companies and software and all this other stuff with bringing that. But what if they did a 3/4 inch cab? Is that something that would be of interest to people? And let's say it's $1,500. Let's say that a 3/4 full size pinball, $1,500 to $2,000. Now, I have no inside information into this. This is just pure off the top of my head speculation. Is this of interest?
Are you talking about like just a full mechanical?
Yes.
Like real? Okay, so not a virtual.
No, completely real pinball. If they did it.
Well, my own opinion. Keep in mind, when we do these shows, guys, we're just telling you our opinions. It's not written in stone. Would be if it's 3/4 scale, only plays one game, I probably wouldn't get it. I'll be honest. I probably wouldn't get it. If I was going to get if I wanted to get a real Stern pinball machine, I would get a real Stern full size pinball machine. I think that's just me. Again, just me.
Okay. Before we go anywhere, Scott did confirm that there is Ethernet and Wi-Fi on the NBA Jam. So the interview that I saw, the person, again, this is why we like to do these shows, because sometimes people mishear during an interview. It's loud in there. And it wasn't any of our normal content creators. This is somebody else that just went, I happened to stumble on their videos. I don't even remember the guy's name. But he had stated that it was Wi-Fi only, and I was like, ooh, I hope not. I hope not, because I wanted to talk to Scott and be like, ooh, you really need to think about putting Ethernet in there. So that's good. Matt, you back to what you were saying. You were saying you don't think so. You'd rather buy a full side, or was that P-Dub?
Well, no, I agree with P-Dubs. I mean, the 3/4 size, I think there's going to be a nostalgia feel there. People are going to want, physical, mechanical pinball. And if they can get a 3/4 size, sure, great. But you're also going to have, it's going to be, like you said, $1,000, $1,500. And then you're only going to have one game, like P-Dub said. And the downside is it's mechanical moving parts. That means more likelihood for something to break. And then now it's not like something you can mod. You're going to have to go take it to a specialist or somebody who knows how to fix pinball machines to fix that thing. And I mean, how many of those are out there? I mean, we pay arm and leg for plumbing, So if your pinball breaks, you may be paying the same amount of price you paid to buy it just to fix it.
I guess I was thinking about the purists. I guess that was my.
Well, yeah, I heard what you're saying, and the purists would probably also not jump on board with a smaller pinball. They would want the full size mechanical.
Okay.
I do think they probably sell a few. I think they would sell a few, but honestly, I don't think they would sell enough mechanical 3/4 scale pinball to really make it worth their while, to be honest. With a virtual pinball, you have a lot more options with it. And like Matt was saying, Stern makes great stuff. I mean, we can't deny Stern's been around for a long time to build quality, but it's still mechanical. Mechanical usually has a higher break factor than electronics do. I mean, electronics break, but if you take one with the other, a bumper, something can happen much easier on a physical mechanical. Not that it wouldn't be beautiful. I could see the ball going around and it would look great, but at that price point, I think purists really wouldn't be on board. They'd want the larger one, and then everyone else would go virtual because, again, mechanical, getting it fixed. One, like Matt said, one break on that thing can almost, break the bank just getting it fixed.
Yeah, I don't know if I would put one in here. I was throwing it out there because Stern's just so well known. If that would be of interest to anybody out there, but you're right. The purists are going to spend the $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $10,000 for a pinball machine. But what we want to do is, and I'm actually going to do it, Glenn. This is actually going to happen. We are going to wrap the show up, but we're going to stay for a post show.
I was watching the time. I was watching to see when you were coming up with it.
We're going to do a post show.
Notification.
What we want to do is we want to give you, the viewers that came out to watch us live, the opportunity to have a post show where we're just kind of like answering questions in the chat room and giving you the opportunity to call in. But for those watching, because of this going on Roku and Apple TV and all these other distribution platforms, people kind of go, man, 3 hours is a lot to swallow. So we want to be able to wrap this up. Until we get any hands-on with these pinball from Arcade 1-Up and some of the new cabinets, they look fantastic. And like Glenn said, we really trust the guys that were out there that were looking at them. So we know that they're going to be good. We don't want to speculate. We don't want to jump into rumors as to what it could be, may not be, anything like that until we get our hands on it. And I think that's fair. That's fair for the company. It's fair for us. So, but I do want to thank my partner in crime here, Mr. Glen Planamento. You guys can follow him over at youtube.com/Glen's Retro Show. And Glenn, real quick about the Tron joysticks.
Yep, the Tron joysticks are obviously out already. We have the upgrade kit for the Legends Ultimate going to Amazon now, so it might be a week or two before Amazon actually posts it. I also want to mention real quick, I just got a message from my partner that the Glenn's Retro Show spinner is back in stock at Amazon. A lot of people have been looking for that. I want to say one other thing really quick I know we're trying to get the hour in, but one thing I want to say real quick. I personally want to send a thank you out to Arcade 1-Up, Toy Shock, MyArcade for treating all of us out there really great. I mean, Ralph was out there, P-Dub was out there, Doug was out there, a few of my other friends were out there, and I really appreciate you guys giving us that kind of attention back. We really appreciate it, and we're here to show off your stuff, and I appreciate you welcoming us into your companies to allow us to do so.
Well, and while we're doing that, Glenn, we also want to give a shout out to Arcade 1-Up and Scott. Scott did invite us out. Scott was going to take care of our flights to go out there, to be there, being so close to coming off of the holiday and work. it just was tough for me and for Glenn, so we didn't get the chance to go out there. But we would have loved to go out there, and we really appreciate Scott for offering and extending that invite to go out there. So I mean, these guys they're really awesome people. So I mean,
They are.
like
They
Glenn
are.
said,
Scott did offer. Scott did offer
Yeah.
me to come see him in the city, so I'm going to hold him to that one and visit him out there. But yeah, I mean, that was really kind of him to do that, and he said to do a rain check, so hopefully we'll meet up with him again and do a show with him then. But again, that's how Scott is. Everyone says anyone who talks to Scott, he's a good guy, and not only that, we have to thank Scott for making John allow Douglas access to that pinball table, because originally no one was touching that pinball machine, period. But Scott said to him, John, no, if Doug goes out there, he plays, and we really appreciate that, Scott. Thank you so much.
Well, so you want to thank the man who literally drove back from Vegas and said, "Hey guys, I can join you today." Mr. P-Dubs himself, guys. Check him out, youtube.com/PDubsArcade Loft for all the loft reports that you can handle. And P-Dub, go ahead, talk about your podcast.
Yeah, we just started a podcast. I mean, a lot of us, we've been doing these live stream shows, and people just love hearing about arcades. So a lot of us, you're going to see a lot of us coming out with podcasts. So I'm sure a lot of your favorite content creators are going to be doing them. I myself just did one. It's called The Loft Report. And of course, you'll find it on all of the listening platforms, Spotify, iTunes, all that kind of stuff. I have a bunch of podcast episodes I need to post from all the events and things I saw from CES. Plus, obviously, there'll be YouTube videos on my channel, so check them out.
Awesome. And Matt, we want to thank you as well for staying up late and hanging with us here. And you still got a little ways, because the people on the recording, well, this is the end. This is why you need to watch us live. But Matt, we appreciate your service, that you're over there taking care of our troops. And appreciate you joining us and helping us test all this stuff.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me, guys.
Absolutely. And guys, we really appreciate you guys tuning in and watching. And those of you in the chat, don't go anywhere. We're going to come back for a post show. But the rest of you guys, you got to show up live if you want to catch the post show and some of the good stuff that comes out of that. But we'll see you next time here on the Retro Buzz. See you next time. Let me turn the sound on here so that people can actually hear us. We appreciate everybody sticking around. If you guys can post a link in the chat room, so if somebody wants to call in, we've got another open seat. You guys, you can call in. I can put everybody up on the big screen behind me and just have like a four-way cube. We really didn't want to banter so much. I mean, there's so much good coverage this week for CES. I mean, I don't think we really needed to kind of go, well, did you see this and did you see that? I mean, it was covered pretty well. I think everybody it's lagging, so we got that lag. They're like, no sound. It's coming back, guys. But yeah, go ahead, post that in there. If anybody, I'll go over to YouTube. Console Kits said hook up with him, Glenn, next week. He's going to be in New York, and maybe you guys can go over to Arcade One Up.
Yep, we will try and get that to happen.
So if somebody wants to call in, that's the link on YouTube. It's https://www.call-in.tv/thetechbuzz. If you go there, we can get you in. If you have any comments about the CES announcements that you want to put out there to everybody that's watching, or if you have any thoughts, again, this is post-show. We'll stick around for a little while, depending on who's all going to stick around with us. If not, Glenn, it was our first show. We got to an hour, but it's one of those things where we had to do it because if we didn't, it's so hard for people. Like I see them now putting time codes like here, it starts getting good at 1 hour and 10 minutes in. It's like, or hey, they get really good here, or
Well, that brought back my memories of my old intro. People say, "My God, you have a 5-minute intro. It doesn't start till 6:03. Start there." So,
That's hilarious. Hey, Glenn, can I ask you a question? Maybe this will help
course.
kind of get the post-show conversations going. So, I do not own any kind of MyArcades or the tiny arcades, and I know that's a big thing of yours. Which and obviously now we have the arcade one up. It looks like what is that? The Partycade is going to be a lot smaller, kind of maybe a little bit bigger than a MyArcade and stuff.
Right.
So just from I just want to know from your experience because you've played with that stuff a lot. Which brand has been your favorite in the past, and which titles played really well? Because as we all keep mentioning, guys, I'm running out of room for big stuff in the house, so I might be able to get the little ones in. So let me know, Glenn, what you think.
Absolutely. Yeah, just go to glensretroshow.com, YouTube, and watch my videos. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. Well, it's funny. The Super Impulse Tiny Arcade you can get at Walmart for about $12.95. They're not expensive. They're actually really fun to play. The only problem is they are small. So if you if you have big hands and bad eyes, they're not the most enjoyable overall. I still have fun with them, but for the price, they're great. Now the Basic Fun has now been coming out with ROM versions. I think they're starting to get more towards the arcade ROMs, but it's mostly NES. Those again are pretty good. They're about $17 to $20 at Walmart. Now the MyArcade, the casing is a little bit thicker, a little bit more robust, but they generally use just NES ROMs, and some of the bigger titles are a disappointment. They have the Mortal Kombat, which you think would be great. They use a Genesis ROM, and somehow the audio is so bad that you will literally smash it with a hammer, which is why I had it no less than 24 hours. I threw a Pi 3 in there and modded that one out. And then they have Galaga, which a lot of people love Galaga. And again, the audio in there is atrocious. I mean, it would have been fine other than that. But they're about $24. Now, the other games that they have, like Mappy, Dig Dug, those games are really fun. So your simple question is not so easy to answer. If you're looking for something that's just fun to kind of play, I think the tiny arcades are fun, but they're just very hard to see. Where when you go to the MyArcade, there's potential there. They have a couple of good ones like Mappy. Honestly, Miss Pac-Man's pretty good. The Pac-Man's an NES ROM, but it's not bad. But Mappy and Dig Dug are probably my favorites from them. And the Basic Fun, they're coming out with some nice ones too. So it's honestly, they're not expensive, Pete. Go out and buy them. Just do it.
All
Appreciate
right.
it.
So we have a gentleman that joined us. Travis, I don't know if you can hear us. He's right down here in the bottom corner.
Travis, MCP.
Hey, man, what's going on, baby?
What's up, my friend?
What's going on?
I was following you out there, man. You had a good time out there.
I did. It was really cool, and I got to meet a bunch of people, which was awesome. I got to meet and hang out a little bit with Cool Toy and his wife. That was awesome. It was just a great CES. It really was. I really enjoyed it.
So
one of my big disappointments not being out there was I missed Travis.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm super happy you're finally on Twitter because all this time, like I spent my time on Twitter, and like I'm like, where are you, man? And you're on Facebook, and I'm like, I don't go to Facebook anymore. So I'm glad you're on Twitter. It's good.
You don't go to Facebook anymore?
My friend.
No.
What was that?
I said he doesn't go to Facebook anymore. Come on, man.
Well, I'll tell you this: the only time I do go to Facebook is like the fan pages, like those. I'll go to like Glen's fan pages. I'll go to.
Oh, okay.
Way too many politics on Facebook for me nowadays. So
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah.
So what was your big takeaway from CES as I fix your lower third?
I enjoyed it.
Whoa.
So what I was really surprised by was when you walked into the South Hall, how close up Arcade 1-Up was. They must have spent a lot of money because they were right beside like Razer, who's like a huge, keyboard, and like they paid a lot of money for that. And Arcade 1-Up was right up front, which really surprised me. And so was like MyArcade and everything. So as like a retro geek myself, I like just practically fainted. It was amazing. All the old retro games and stuff. They had a little retro arcade that was off to the side. I don't even know whose that was, but it was in between MyArcade and Arcade 1-Up. So I don't know who was involved with that. But it was awesome, man. I mean, seeing the I didn't even notice the Frogger and I forget, the Golden Axe, I think it was, on the Arcade 1-Up side, because it was on the opposite side of all like the big games, like NBA Jam and everything was on one side. I literally left the booth after looking at everything and happened to turn around, and then there was Frogger, and so I was like, whoa, where'd that come from? So that was pretty incredible. They have a lot of stuff that they're coming out with. I was excited when I was like, and I saw the light up Mortal Kombat. I said, I need a retrofit for mine because I got one of the first Mortal Kombats that doesn't have a light up banner. And he said, yeah, here it is. And he turned it on, and I got excited. I'm like, well, when can I get that? We're aiming for fourth quarter 2020. We'll see.
That's always the answer, right?
And Travis has been, he's been getting on board with Arcade 1-Up. He's had a couple of those machines. He's also has an ATGames machine. So Travis does Travis Tech Reviews on YouTube, and he does great videos, and you guys got to check him out. But he's been definitely dipping his fingers into the home arcade scene as of late.
Travis, what's your website? I can get it up on your lower third. So if people want to check it out, or if you have a YouTube channel.
YouTube.com/TravisMCP.
I'm sorry?
YouTube.com/TravisMCP.
Okay.
Like little Charlie.
Yep.
Not important, but it's there.
No, we'll get
and I'm telling you, if you guys want to be entertained when you're looking at these reviews, Travis is excellent at it. I mean, he says it right from the heart, but he's funny as hell, and he's honest, and he doesn't pull any punches, and they are enjoyable. You got to check out Travis.
I appreciate that, Glenn. You're always putting people over. I appreciate that.
And
by the way, Glenn has done so many cool things for me, and like he'll always go above and beyond. I sent him something a year or so ago. It was an old Pandora's box double joystick that wasn't working, and he spent way too much time modding it and putting a Raspberry Pi in it and putting all these cool things in a custom video intro, and then sent it back to me. I had no idea this was going to happen, and Glenn's just a really genuinely cool person. Like, I found out about him because someone had commented on a video review I did on a MyArcade randomly like a year ago, and they said, you should check out Glenn's. He's modding these. So I was like, okay, let me see what this guy's all about. And then I never stopped watching his channel. So I'm like, okay, I'm in for all of this. I love retro stuff. So I don't get to cover it very much on my channel, but every so often when I get something, I throw it up there because I have so much love for 80s and 90s video games for sure.
Yeah, definitely the golden age, if you will. Sorry, Glenn.
Thanks, yeah.
So we got Angel wants to jump in here if we can.
I'll pop out.
No, it's cool. So if anybody wants to follow you, that's just go to youtube.com/TravisMCP. Is that right there?
Yep. That's right. Correct.
All right. I think I got it there. So you guys make sure you go subscribe to Travis and check out his video. I'm going to go check it out because I don't think maybe I have watched your videos in passing and I just didn't realize
I'm sorry.
name. That's what I say when everybody watches my videos. But no, if the line's open, Travis, feel free to jump back in. Okay. We got a few guys that want to jump in. We appreciate it.
Important. Let me put them up there.
Yeah, no, it's cool.
Thank you for the time.
All right, man. We'll see you.
Travis, buddy. Thank you, man.
All right. He's a good guy. We're got Angel next, and then I think Stevie Richards wants to jump in.
No way.
Yeah. What's up, Angel?
Hey, what's up, guys?
What's going on?
Angel, what's going on, my friend?
Hey, what's up, dude?
Not much. Listen, couple of questions and a couple of comments. My first comment is the pinball. I kind of like the fact that it is all digital. You know, that it's not mechanical as much as the enthusiastic would want, because I think the interface would be more exciting when you get, you know, the high scores and the action going. I think if I haven't had one in my hand, I would love to play one, but I would assume that that's what's going to happen, correct?
Yeah, I mean, that's what we assume. I mean, the Arcade 1-Up one right now is Wi-Fi for updates only, but I don't know. They haven't talked about leaderboards yet, downloading more tables. They make it seem like it's something possible in the future, but nothing set in stone as of yet.
Right. And a question for anybody that has the answer: should I be concerned about my next mortgage payment if they decide to do light up marquees already?
Now you can get
Well,
a gold mortgage.
it does look like all the new machines coming out with are coming with light up marquees and risers. But I'm sure, like anything else, that adds cost. So you may have a version with light up marquees, maybe they'll offer it without. But Angel, my friend, you do beautiful work, and there's a lot of machines that have already been sold. I mean, thousands and thousands. I think you'll be okay. And I got to put an order in again for a few myself.
I just asked because I just started these, so I want to make sure.
Oh, look at that.
You
Oh,
guys
that's
see that?
beautiful.
Yeah,
Very nice.
I want to make sure I don't have to switch to something else. Make the smaller ones now.
Well, I think
Angel,
there's
I wouldn't worry about it, Angel, because you do an amazing job. Everybody loves you.
Appreciate it.
I obviously don't know the statistics, but I can't remember if it was on their website or it was on like an online magazine article where they mentioned somewhere around 400,000 Arcade 1-Up units had been created or shipped. And again, disclaimer, I don't know all the facts in either in 2018. So there's a lot of machines out there that need some light bulbs attached to them. So I think you're going to be quite busy, my friend. And also, too, even these brand new machines, someone's going to buy that Sega cabinet, that 4-player cabinet, and they're going to want to say, I'm going to put different artwork on it. I'm going to need a light up matches. And also, too, don't forget that the blue Marvel, the blue Marvel cabinet that came out a couple months back. In my opinion, that's the new Street Fighter cabinet with the 6 buttons, layouts. That's the cabinet, like, if you want to mod. Like, at first, everyone would come on the fan page. I want to mod a cabinet. Which one should I buy? 100 people would say Street Fighter. I'm pretty sure now you're going to see them say, buy that blue Marvel and mod it. Because the features on that cabinet are a bit better than the original Street Fighter.
And Angel, remember, I talked about another couple of areas on the consoles that could have light up areas. If you don't remember, I'll tell you about it offline. But remember,
I branched that out to my my CNC guys. So I showed them the image you sent me. So yeah, we're gonna go there.
So so even if the marquee market goes away, you will have a few other areas that you can still work with. So again, you shouldn't have any problem.
Appreciate that. And also, Glenn, P-Dubs, and Steven, I got a couple of things going your way, so look for that in the mail.
Ooh.
Awesome. Appreciate it, man.
All right.
We gotta get you on the show here coming up. I think we're booked at the beginning of February right now, or up to the first week of February. But get in touch with Glenn or myself, because Glenn tries to schedule people, get them in there. I throw different people in there, mess Glenn's schedule up. But
are you guys wheelchair accessible?
Glenn's really good at scheduling the people, but so you might want to get in touch with Glenn, and then we'll get you on and let you talk about your marquees on one of the shows, especially now that we got it down to an hour, Glenn.
We did. And you know what? I have to eat crow. I didn't think you were going to do it, so I owe you now because I kept saying it ain't happening. Every week we said an hour, and it's like 5 hours. So I take my hat off.
Oh, I love it when you guys are on, man. I stay in the garage and I put your show on repeat all day long, and I'll just watch it and listen to it all day.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate it. And I think it'll be fun here. We got so we're gonna try to get Stevie Richards. He wants to call in a little bit here. He's gonna also be a guest upcoming. We've got the guy from Retromania coming on with Stevie Richards coming up soon.
Nice.
So
all right, guys. Well, I'll let you go. Thank you so much for having me.
Yo, absolutely.
It's always a pleasure.
Take it easy, guys.
All right, take care, Angel.
Bye.
And if anybody else wants to call in, you can. Let's get Mike. Let's see if Michael, because I wasn't getting video from him. So let's see if this works. Let's see. It says waiting.
Now, P-Dub, be good, man. Yeah. Don't freak out, okay?
I'll try not to. I'll try not to. Actually, I got a bone to pick with him. Actually,
don't say that.
You're gonna pick a bone with him, really?
That's right. Through the internet.
All right, let me.
Everyone's tough through a camera. Everyone's tough through a cabinet.
I know.
That's right.
Let's
He doesn't have your address, right?
What was that, Matt? I'm sorry.
He doesn't have your address, right?
I hope not. Steven, don't give it to him. I'm kidding. No, I'm just going to tease him. I
So,
actually saw something. Go ahead and bring him in. I saw something that another content creator posted today. I wanted to ask him about it.
so let's do
So whenever
this. I don't know if
whenever you
he's
get him
gonna.
on.
I don't know if he's gonna be able to hear you guys. So I'm gonna have to reiterate it, but I'm gonna try to get him on the phone here. I'll do it this way. See if this works. Because he was trying to call in through an iPhone. Okay, he's not answering because he's probably waiting.
Yeah, he knows I got a bone to pick with him. No, I'm just kidding.
Until he comes on, he's like, "I'm gonna snap you in half."
I think I'm gonna move over a little bit. Wait, I'm a little bit this way just to make sure I'm safe.
Yeah, I
come to
would.
the
I told
screen.
him to try again. Guys, if you want to jump in, feel free. You can call in.
All right.
Console kits, you can call in. Anybody want to call in? Call in. I don't care. We're not.
Well, just so you guys know, I was just going to tease him. I saw something where who's that content creator? 8-Bit Eric. I've watched a few of his videos.
Yep.
He's kind of funny. He put something on YouTube today saying, "Hey, if you do this vote, I'll be a character in Retromania." And I just wanted to hear from Stevie about that, as well as how can we get Glen in Retromania? Because I would love to see that.
So okay. So as you guys know, he's not going to be able to call back in because he said he's getting ready to go to bed. But he said this: "I'm heading to bed anyways because I need to rest for when I light this cabinet on fire." And as you guys know, the last time he was on here was My Game Room Solutions. He's really ticked off because they sent him the cabinet. He has to drill the holes for the buttons. There's no holes for any buttons. There's not even a basic layout in it.
That's the other GRS company, not this GRS company.
Yeah,
out
it's the ones that they do arcade mod up, I believe it is off of that, right? So he is not really happy. I think that's what he was going to come on and talk about and basically tell everybody to stay away from it. But the graphics look nice on it. I will say that the pictures that he sent, the graphics look nice. But yeah, he's having a heck of a time with that thing and getting the T molding to stay in and stuff. And listen, we're not trying to trash companies here, and that is not his intention. It's just he's looking at it from, man, I should have went with an arcade 1-up to mod, or I should have went with a Legends Ultimate. That's where he's at right now. So he's a bit frustrated.
Yeah, I looked
so
on
I totally get
My
it.
Game Room Solutions before, and I mean, they got those kits there, but they're so expensive. Or they're basically the same price as the Legends Ultimate, completely stripped down with nothing. And it's like the appeal there is starting to go away. You might as well just get a Legends Ultimate or an arcade 1-up, just mod it. I mean, at that point.
Well, I don't have anything from Game Room Solutions personally, but I have seen that they've been pretty helpful with like videos. So if you needed to figure out how to do something, they have really good videos. And again, I'm sure a lot of people have purchased stuff from them and it's been just fine. You don't always, I've said this before, when everything works out well, you don't always hear the good things, but when there's one thing that goes bad, you're going to hear about it. It just happens to be this is someone of some, pretty high in the the wrestling community. He's got a lot of fans, and that's one you probably want to take a little more time making sure everything's okay. I'm not going to name companies, but I have definitely gone out of my way to help companies out with some high-profile YouTubers to make sure everything was okay, because you have to. I mean, those people are going to talk about your product. You got to make sure, not that it's superior to what you would sell to the normal public. That's not what I'm saying. But sometimes people get just bad machines, and you have to make sure that it get taken care of. And that's what it comes down to.
And he's not one that complains. I've been friends with him for almost 11 years. He's not a guy that complains, but he's one of those guys that, like, he doesn't have time. I mean, he was wrestling full time up until a couple of years ago. He doesn't have time to sit there and fuddle around with team molding that should already be on the system when you got it. You shouldn't have to be drilling holes for joysticks and buttons. These are things that he shouldn't have to do. That's just absurd. Especially, that's not his forte, and that's nothing against him. It's just the fact that he wants to be able to put it together, put a pie in it, throw the image card in it, and get it booted up. That's what he wants to do and play some games. He doesn't want to sit there and mess around. So
He
Maybe
just has to invite me over. I'll take care of it, man. Just invite me over. We'll have it all squared out.
I was gonna say we
I
just
mean,
talk to
it's still a
PK or
great
something.
thing. I mean, it's still a great thing to be able to mod that and build your own stuff. Nobody should be taken away from that. And game, like you said, Glenn, Game Room Solutions, they probably make great products, and he just got that bad one. But like you said, you got to take that extra care when you're giving it to somebody who's got a pretty decent following there. So,
Oh, absolutely. And any guys, if you want to call in, the lines are open. You can feel free to call in. I put the links in there. We'd love to hear from you. Again, this is free flowing. You can call from your phone. You can do it from your phone. You can do it from a computer. After show, it's wide open.
So to kind of pivot away from that stuff, you guys, Glenn and Steven, you guys were at home. You guys were watching everything that Retro Ralph and Cool Toy and a host of other folks were posting online. What excited you guys the most from what all the content that was coming out there? I'd love to hear what excited you guys the most.
Go ahead, Glenn.
Seeing
I'll
you,
let you go
P-Dub.
first.
Oh, stop,
Seeing you out there, I couldn't get enough.
stop it. Stop it. You're silly.
But seriously,
Go ahead.
go ahead, Steven. Go ahead. No,
No. Before you do that, the only criticism I have for all the content creators that were out there, and this includes everybody, and this is not being mean, or you guys need to tweet out and let people know that you're going live. I mean, we're working all day. We don't get any notifications. All of a sudden, it's just like, boom, you're live, because I don't have Facebook open all the time. And it's like I catch it either halfway through or at the end, and I'm like, dang, I would have loved to catch that live. But that's my only suggestion for next time. Get it out there. Post a half an hour. Hey, we're going live in a half an hour. Or hey, we're going live in 10 minutes or something like that. That's some feedback I have. But go ahead, Glenn.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, I watched a lot of stuff out at CES, and not being partial in any way, shape, or form, but I think Arcade 1-Up just knocked it out of the park. I think that they had great presentation. They had great products. They had the ladies. They had the girls all over there, all around John. John was covered with the ladies.
We're gonna have to ask him next week how he managed that.
He did, and just again, they told us, there was some leaks that got out. Wink, wink. The stuff that got out there, and they said don't worry, there'll be many more things to show. They had great content. They had great presentation. They had just Scott, John, and David all out there, talking to people and bringing the content creators in. So, I mean, I saw other things out there that I kind of liked, but I think that Arcade 1-Up really blew me away with the entire presentation, especially when you look at last year. I mean, last year CES was the first time that they'd come out. It was a new product that was coming out, and they had a presence there, and it was kind of cool. But this one was just amazing. Just everything that they did, even the way the booth was set up, it was just done very, very well. So I'm assuming David took care of all that, the presentation. And if we did, David, you did a fantastic job setting up CES this year. If not, you still did. But in any case, I thought you did a great job out there.
I honestly think for me, seeing everything, I like everything that was seen. But I honestly think the biggest thing for me, especially being new to this industry, and I'm newer than all you guys. I've just been in the broadcast and tech industry and coming over here. But I think the biggest thing is seeing the footprint that retro gaming / arcades / retro consoles, all that stuff is now getting mainstream attention. CNET's going gaga over it, and that in my mind, as somebody that's in the tech and broadcast industry, that speaks volumes, because I've done interviews with CNET. I've been on set with CNET in the broadcast field for talking about different products. I was one of the first people to live stream anybody being born. My daughter, if you Google search, you'll find the Tech Buzz live streams, and my wife was going to beat me with a diaper genie. At least that's what CNET says. But no, in all seriousness, that makes me excited, because that was one of the things that I wanted to accomplish coming over here, and because I have the love for this, and when I talked to Glenn about doing shows and some of these other guys, that's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see content getting out there and people getting excited about this stuff, seeing pinball explosions, seeing arcade explosions. I mean, just in the short amount of time I've been in this, in less than 6 months, that to me was exciting through all this. I mean, the products were great, but seeing that and seeing this excitement, I remember going to CES and going hall after hall and seeing nothing but iPhone and iPad cases because that's all that was there. I mean, what's the next iPhone cases? It's like, my goodness, they had Mission Impossible iPhone cases that you hold it in your hand and it would drop and give you the illusion that you're dropping your phone. And I mean, it was stupid stuff. To now seeing this. So for me, that was my biggest, I guess, P-Dub, that was the most exciting thing I thought, seeing all these companies release all this stuff.
What about you, Matt? What did you like the most? Whether, you know, and it doesn't even have to be the big three. I mean, I like to call them the big three: ATGames, Arcade 1UP, and Toy Shock, because they're the most well known at this time. We got another player called MyArcade, which we haven't even talked about yet on this show. And then obviously there's, you know, the MyArcades, the tiny arcades. There's a lot there. There's Stern. Stern, dude, that Stern booth was awesome.
Yeah.
And you talk about bringing it, Stern brought it. So they had a fantastic booth. And I only, unfortunately, got to be in there for about 15, 20 minutes. But it was a great showing. So Matt, I'd love to hear from you. Like, out of all the content you've seen on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, the news outlets, what excited you the most?
I'd have to say overall, I would say Arcade 1UP and Toy Shock both coming out, because I was surprised that they came out with some after just releasing that pinball. But I think what Steven touched on too, retro gaming has kind of been more like a little tiny novelty. You bought like one of those cheap things back in the day from like a Walgreens or something like that, and you plugged it in. It was just a little novelty, nostalgia thing. To see it blow up to become, you know, not only so mainstream now at CES, but also it's more affordable now. You know, yeah, people had game room solutions, you could build your own, but you're talking about, you know, $1,000 to build an arcade cabinet. Now people are able to get these multi-cases like the Legends Ultimate, Arcade 1UP coming out with these cabs, and that they're constantly improving, making such a huge wave at CES. I mean, that's great. That's what I grew up with, growing up in the arcades, plopping them quarters in. I love seeing that stuff come back, and now I get my kids to play it too. That's what I like seeing. So, but yeah, I would say overall Arcade 1UP and Toy Shock both, probably more so Arcade 1UP. I was pretty happy with what they came out with, but both equally good.
And Glenn, before we go any further, with all this traction, I know you had a warning that you that kind of makes you scared, and I don't know if you said it in the show, but I think it bears repeating about the crash.
Yeah, it's something that really hit me a couple weeks ago. There's a lot of great stuff coming out, but going through the gaming crash, or the great North American crash, because obviously it didn't happen everywhere, it was really just in the States. But the market just got flooded with so many different consoles, but the same content. So you may have had Donkey Kong on ColecoVision and television and the Atari, and then you had Chuck the Chuck Wagon coming out with the game for the Atari, and it just got so saturated. You had Vectrex, you had Magnavox Odyssey, you had Emerson 2001. You just had all these different machines out there, and people just got disillusioned. There was just so much out there. And I'm just worried, because I want more. I mean, I still could breathe, so there's room for me to put a machine. I can get around in here. But I do worry for the industry as a whole, only because I'm seeing some of the same games coming out in multiple platforms. And obviously each one will have its own niche, some good parts about it, but that's when I start feeling like it's getting too saturated. And again, like Matt said a moment ago, that there's definitely a market for it. And I'm like both you guys said, I'm extremely happy that the industry is finally realizing that retro gaming is not a little pirate thing in the corner. We don't want to do that. We had no other choice or the recourse for years. And now these companies are realizing, wait a second, if we could do this, this, and this, we could sell it and people are going to buy it. And I think we've proven people will buy it. So I just hope that they are better now, learn from the mistakes of the past, and don't saturate it to the point where people start, again, turning away from it and causing a crash. Although when they did crash, stuff was 50 cents a piece. So you got to take good for the bad. I mean, I could stock up a whole attic with games at 50 cents a piece.
I think that's what scares me too with this. We have the big three right now, Toy Shock, Arcade, 1UP, and ATGames. It scares me that if people come out as copycats making clones of this stuff that's, a fraction of the price and people are going to go out and buy it, it's going to destroy the industry in that aspect too, because people are going to be like, well, I can go buy a knockoff pinball V-Pin here and I can add the guts to it and make it my very own. All I need is the shell for 125 bucks. And that's going to kill the innovation behind some of these companies. You're going to have those people that are going to stand behind them. I mean, you are going to have that, but
yeah, there's always something they can do. I mean, I was talking with my wife on the phone when I was driving home from Vegas today on the phone. We were talking about stuff, and I was talking to her. I was like, what would be really cool? And I just want to throw this out there. And again, this is another stupid P-dub idea. Is what if we had an Arcade 1UP cabinet? Because I think they're the ones they have the most capital, the most resources at this time. What if they had a retro arcade cabinet, and they're going to throw a couple titles in there, like Burger Time or whatever, but what if they had their own game, like a game created by them that they own, they have the license, they develop, and it's a game made like retro style, like something we've never seen before, so something like an 16-bit style game. So the question to anyone who's watching is, would that be cool, and would you buy it?
Are you talking like that Turtle Palooza game that independent developer made for that you could install?
Yeah. I mean,
I think you're talking about really a console, whether it be media based or just download content, almost like the new Intellivision, was it Amigo that's coming out? You're looking for something to play that style of games from them. I'm not sure if that's really their market right now. I mean, it could change in the future, but right now I think that they wouldn't have the programmers and the content to put on something like that. But I could be wrong. But I think that the market right now is not really looking for another console. There's lots of ways to get compilations of older games or homemade games on these machines right now.
Glenn, I'm not saying a console. I'm saying they develop their own game and they stick it in an Arcade 1UP cabinet. That's what I'm saying. Not a console. Not a handheld, not a Xbox style console. Like, what if they came out and it's got 12 games in here, and guess what, 2 of these games are custom built by us, brand new, never before seen. I mean, it sounds kind of crazy, but I think it would be kind of cool.
On that, I think they should hire us 4 here, and I think 5 with Doug, as consultants to design the game.
Yeah.
If that's the case, put it in a cabinet. Sort of like what the Angry Video Game Nerd has with his games, or Gamester 81 has his game. We can have the Retro Buzz, the video game.
I was just thinking that they could do. I was thinking Retro Wars, and they could make like a fighting game out of it, and have all the different YouTubers. They can go on there and fight each other, get their aggression out.
So like MTV, what was that MTV game? There was a claymation thing on MTV that they fought each other.
Yeah,
do you remember what that show was called?
Celebrity Deathmatch.
There we go. I always want to have my head exploded by someone throwing a game console in my face.
I think that would make people feel a lot better if they could do something like that. But it's not a bad idea. I mean, that's kind of what Retromania is. I mean, we're having those guys come on.
Right.
Retromania is a brand new game designed, right?
Yeah, it's a brand new game. I mean, technically, it's considered an official sequel, but it's a brand new game. And it's designed in the retro style. I mean, when you look at the graphics and the video that we've seen of what they've released, and I think that's great. And if that works, why won't other companies look at it and say they had a damn good idea? Maybe we should come up with something. That's all I'm saying.
So the chat room says, David M. Burry says Scott and John said no and repeated Glen's point. That was, I guess, maybe somebody brought that up to him. I don't know.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Ralph goes, can my finishing move be the crop dust? And he tagged you, Patrick.
Really? I don't even know where this is coming from, honestly. I don't.
It's coming from your rear, obviously.
Great.
That's what I said. I don't remember if somebody said it there.
I never I never walked past Ralph once at CES. I was sitting down.
That must have
if
been really
anything-
toxic if you didn't even walk past him and he got prop tested.
Maybe
I'm
the
gonna tell
chat
you
room.
guys.
Maybe the chat room just started being funny about it, and they just said,
Yeah. Well, as I tell you guys, whenever we talk offline, when we're not doing these public shows, I always tell you guys, I'm going to tell you the same thing I tell you guys offline. It's all Console Kit's fault. You know?
Ralph goes, if that could be his finishing move, he's in.
Awesome.
And
I think it's actually it's a Booger Man finishing move. I think. Remember Booger Man from the Sega Genesis?
So we do want to let everybody know that are around yet. So Ralph and Console Kits said last night that there won't be a show this Sunday, but they'll probably be back next Sunday, if I'm correct, Ralph. Because they've been at CES, and let me tell you guys something. Because I've been to CES, and I'm going to be going out to NAV in April. I feel for you guys. I know what it's like to carry the gear and walk the halls, and people stop right in front of you because they're not paying attention, and they get that deer in headlight look, and you're like, dude, I got to get to a meeting, or I got to get to the next booth, and they just stand there gawking, and they're tripping over your wires and pushing you out of the way, walking in front of
And that's why you're supposed to have Taco Bell an hour before you go to these places.
It's-
You will clear the area and you'll walk straight through.
It's
so that
stressful.
was P-Dub's secret weapon.
Yeah.
It's stressful. It's stressful. But it's a lot on your feet. It really is. It's a lot of work. So Glenn, you better start. If we go out to E3 with Scott and them, you better start getting some convention steps in and start getting some exercise.
I got my Norda track right here, bro.
No, well, maybe
get back to my Norda track.
We could do a segment on this show called Exercising with Glenn, and have Glenn sitting there picking up arcades, lifting them up, and then taking joysticks as dumbbells.
Steve was gonna get me his thing so I could start working out. That was supposed to be my New Year resolution. It was to take his workout. Look, I'm gonna start right now. I got my. Here we go. 1.
Oh, so there you go. Here, we'll get a close up of that.
2.
You have to take a sip
3,
every time you bring
done.
it up. You have to take a sip every time you bring it up.
Yeah.
If you think I'm wired now, forget about it.
Well, I know how Ralph and Justin feel, because I got out of the car, I got in the house, the dogs, manhandled me, let the dogs out, came upstairs, turned the computer on. I know how they feel. Like, I'm exhausted as well. So I don't blame them for taking the rest of the weekend off, and look forward to seeing their show the following week.
So
just so people know, P-Dub, like when did your day start out there, and when did you actually leave for the day? I mean, how long was your day for you?
While I was every day at CES.
Yeah.
So so I would get up at, I don't know, 5:30, 6 in the morning, but that's what I just normally do, because my dogs wake me up at that time. And then we'd have to, the show would open at 9, but we would be there early, around 8:15, getting everything set up, ready to go. And then I would have to set up my cameras, because I was doing all the social media stuff for them, taking pictures and all that stuff. And then obviously throughout the day, it was just nonstop madness. People wanting to see how does this machine work, how does it play, what's it got on it.
But did you get a dang T-shirt? They want to know. Did you get a dang T-shirt?
What do you mean a T-shirt?
A Toy Shock T-shirt for being the hype man. I'm reading chat, man. That's all I know.
Oh no! That's
a TSTS, Toy Shock T-shirt. Yeah, TSTS.
No. I wore my own T-shirts made by Mr. Profit. So yeah, shameless plug right there. I know, but no, I didn't take any kind of payment. I mean, the goal was just to go out there and have fun, because CES is, it was my first show, and it was a mind-blowing experience. So if you have a chance to get out there, whether you're volunteering to help somebody or whether you qualify to get in, because there's certain qualifications to get in, I highly recommend you go. It's a great experience.
Or go with a company. The outdoor industry, what they do is they do a pro staff and they do a field staff. And so what you do is You know, if you've got so many likes and stuff, so many things on Facebook, and you have a small social media footprint. What I mean small is like you just have to be active. They bring you in on field staff, and what they do is they give you a discount on the product. They'll give you like maybe 10% off of their product. So you buy the product, they're getting money out of you, plus they're getting you're getting a discount, but you're also hyping it up on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and that stuff. If you go to pro staff, it's not the pro staff that you're thinking of. It's the promotional staff. So you're a little bit higher, so you might get like a 30% discount. But the options are you get to also go with them to local trade shows to represent the company. You know, you'll get a shirt and a hat, and you can go and talk about the product, especially if you know what you're talking about. And I think they're doing it right. I think they're doing it in a sense where I think if other companies did that to get, like Patrick, you said, you know, you just started. You didn't really have the cred yet to get into CES on your own.
Correct.
If these companies were able to do that for guys starting out, that they see something in, that could help them out and get branch in the industry. I mean, I went to CES back in 2011. I filled out, I got my credentials. I just didn't get to go this year. But again, I've worked many years to get to that point. So I think it would be interesting to see if this industry could do something similar to that, like where they offer discounts and they offer, you know, different things to people that, and I hate the word influencer, but that's what I'm going to say. The influencers in this industry. I mean, I'm just being real. Oh, is that a mic drop?
Boom.
Nobody has anything to say? It's just like
boom.
Well, I mean, realistically,
but in
I
all
think-
seriousness, is anybody interested? I'm getting new Tech Buzz hats made. Not trying to sell my own hats here, but I'm getting embroidered ones with the website. But I was thinking, what if we got Retro Buzz ones made with the Retro Buzz shirts? Would you guys be interested? And the reason I'm asking is because they're made to order. And so I don't want to be sitting here with like 50 T-shirts and 50 hats and things like that. But is that something you guys would be interested in that we could, you know, work towards doing? Is that something you guys would enjoy? You know, and we would price them to where it's basically we're not making anything on it. It's just basically like I think the hats would come in probably around cost, be like around with shipping around $25 for flex fit without the ratchet straps in the back. And I think the shirts would come in probably around $20, $25. I'd have to see. It depends how many we can order. The more we order, obviously, the cheaper it is. So is that something you guys would be interested in? If not, you're not hurting our feelings. We just want to kind of get a gauge, right, Glenn?
That, or we get like a little plushies of us, little squishy little plushies.
They're not going to want to plush it. Well, maybe of you, but not of me. A bobblehead, yeah.
Hey, do you remember those WWF wrestling buddies? Maybe
Yes.
get one of those.
Oh yeah,
But, I don't know, Steven. I don't know if I want to be a first adopter of your T-shirt. I might have to wait until Walmart puts it on clearance for $5. You know. So no, I'm just teasing. Put me down. I'll take a shirt and a hat. Just make sure the Tech Buzz is spelled the Loft Report. I'm just teasing again. No, yeah, I'll do it. I'm in.
All right.
I'll buy.
Let me do this real quick. We're going to exit out of the session here because they're saying we're getting some crackling. So let me exit out of this. I'll come right back. And I had the TriCaster on all day. So just give me 1 second. We'll be right back.
This evening's episode brought to you by Bisco. Jesus.
Cheez-Its?
Yeah.
Is that what you had out? You had Cheez-Its? All right. The audio should be back to normal now.
It was the Cheez-Its, guys. It was the Cheez-Its.
The Cheez-Its did it. All right. So everybody should be happy
It's
now
the
with the audio.
cheesiest.
Are there any other questions in the chat, Steven?
I'm looking through. Somebody had said back. I'm going to scroll back. Zero Hero said, I don't know. I think calling the big three is a stretch. I think that Arcade 1-Up is that, and everybody else just kind of is there.
Sure, sure. I mean, definitely Arcade 1-Up has earned the right to be the king of the mountain. I mean, there's no denying that. But and I think we mentioned this in a video or a stream, I can't remember, but now that there's an appetite in this space and people see there's money to be made, everyone wants to get a piece of that pie.
Yep.
So the goal is, as long as all of these companies create great products, I will support all of them. I have a Legends Ultimate, I have a Toy Shock, I have an Arcade 1-Up. When the Arcade 1-Up pinball machine comes out, I'll buy it. When the new Toy Shock pinball machines come out, I'll buy it. I mean, as long as they're great products and you enjoy them, that's all we care about.
And your wife doesn't kill you?
And the wife doesn't kill me. Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. But we are, and also too, and this is another, maybe this is a good conversation. I know that it's getting late, but
yeah, I got to eat dinner.
I know, but a lot of folks are literally running out of space in their homes. So the question is if you had to be selective now with your purchases, I think now, for the mega fans who have purchased so many machines, we're running out of space. For the general consumer, these machines are going to sell like hotcakes. I mean, their Sega cabinet or their NBA Jam cabinet might be their very first Arcade 1-Up cabinet. So they're going to sell. They're going to make a ton of money. Their business model is awesome. But the mega fans like us, we're running out of space. So like when I look at my arcade loft and I look at what every company is releasing, let me know what you guys think. I'm also saying, okay, I'm going to get that one and that one and that one. Whereas 12 months ago, it was, I'm getting all of them. So let me know what you guys think.
I'm gonna drop Arcade 1-Up or ATGames, multi-million-dollar idea for free, because that's kind of what I do. Okay, so what he just said was right. Eventually there is going to come a point in time where there's not going to be enough room. So you combine kind of the ATGames philosophy and the Arcade 1-Up philosophy. Again, this is the million-dollar idea. They make OLED panels and the length of a marquee. They do make LCD panels the length of those marquees. So you make these machines with almost like the Neo Geo style cartridge system, right? You have a base cabinet, basic artwork on the sides, but you have cartridges you can put in, and when you put in the cartridge, select your game, the marquee is an LCD panel and it changes the display. Now I can tell you already, there's a front end on emulators. It's called Lunchbox, right? Mm-hmm. And with Lunchbox, it actually supports these type of displays. So as you scroll through your games, the game title will change on the marquee at the top. So I'm just giving you guys that idea because eventually, P-Dub's right. Eventually, there will come a point where you're literally wall to wall to wall to wall of cabinets. So there may come a point in time where you want to have a cabinet that can do it all. And whether Arcade 1-Up takes my idea or someone else takes my idea, it's free. I just gave it to you guys. There's the multi-million-dollar idea right there.
I like it.
I like it. Or we solicit the community, and you guys give us different ideas of how to set up the cabinets in a room to where we can get the most out of it. I think that would be interesting.
That's a good idea too. That's a great idea.
So I know there's a lot of great ways, but go over to the what group do you want it in, Glenn? Do it in the Arcade 1-Up, since they have all the arcades, and start posting your rooms.
Yeah, absolutely. Or just you can post in all of them. I only got like 30. I mean,
post
kind of not hard not to find one that I'm in.
But I mean, post it towards this so we can get a thread. Don't just like blast it all in there. Somebody start the thread, or if Glenn, you want to go in there and start the thread. Post, this is the best way to put your cabinets to get the most out of it. Like, it's not a way to say, hey, look at this is my arcade room. I mean, we've seen that, and that's cool. I mean, I like looking at everybody's, but what's the way that you're doing to save space to get the most cabinets in a space? Because I'm there too. I got 10 cabinets along the wall here.
And more importantly, in addition to that, how do the people have like 10, 15, 20 of these machines convince their wives, get that information and share it to the other people in the community so they can use that line on their spouse so they can get these machines in their house?
Save
the spouse, get in the house.
My wife hasn't complained. the only thing she says, where are you going to put it? It's not like, no, you can't get it. It's just, where are you going to put it?
Yeah, but
So,
Steven, that's how women ask the question. She's basically telling you you can't get it because where you gonna put it? You got to think like that, man. Come on.
Yeah, that's exactly how my wife is. But you guys have something going for you. You actually can get them. Unfortunately, out here, I can't get them just because of where I'm at and the shipping, the size of the thing. They won't ship them out here. But yeah, so it was a hassle getting the legends, but not on my end. But at ATGames, they helped me out with that. But yeah, I mean, my wife's like, "Oh yeah, you can get whatever you want," knowing that I can't really get it out here. So it's like, "Oh, I see what you're doing."
So Matt, actually, are any like arcade one-ups? Is anything available in the area that you're at all?
No, not at all. They don't sell out here. Funny enough, actually, I did a mission not too long ago in Africa, and I saw an arcade one-up, a Street Fighter cocktail cabinet just for sale there. It was the craziest thing. I couldn't get it here, but if you go to Africa, you got it.
well,
That's interesting. That is really interesting.
I think what we're going to do is, I know, Glenn, you got a jet. I need to get some dinner. I got to process all this, get it uploaded. But guys, it was fun. It was real. And we did 1 hour and 1 hour post show. So there you go.
Perfect. And P-Dub got his little thing in there. Got for Nabisco.
His yeah. And I'll remember to reboot the Wirecast machine next time before the show, so that way we don't have that problem again.
Have you guys not had these? These are Cheez-It duos, man. Half jalapeno, half cheddar jack. It's amazing. It bursts in your mouth.
Oh, that's the tagline you don't want to have for that. Anyway,
yeah.
It doesn't get. Hey, at this point, I don't care. It doesn't get any worse.
We have what? We have John. We have John D next week. The week after that, we have, who do we have the week? Stevie Richards and the creator of Retromania, and then at some point we got to get RGT 85 back
85. Yep.
So,
and Matt, I want to thank you again. I know it's like probably 2 a.m. What time is it by you now?
Yeah, Germany. It's about 2.
So I want to thank you again for joining us today. And P-Dub, same to you, man. You had a long drive today, and you came on today. So I thank you guys both for coming on the show.
Yeah,
I have one final question. I've been wondering this the entire show. Matt, have you been standing up the entire time, or are you sitting down?
No, I'm sitting down. I'm at my bar. So right here, I got my bar stool, a little fur there.
I was watching from the angle of the camera. I was like, he's standing up, leaning on his bar like for 2 hours straight. How does he do it?
I'm too old for that. My hips can't take it.
Ain't that the truth?
All right.
All right,
well,
guys.
you guys have...
We're gonna go dark, and we'll see y'all next week for more of the Retro Buzz. Take care.